My name is Scott Dean Taylor.
My name is Mabel.
And I play the drums.
I've been playing the piano with Tim and Scott these past 4 weeks in April. When I moved to Chicago, I came to Elastic a lot actually, when it was at a different location, and then this location, and I went and listened to a lot of improvised music. I was not improvising at the time.
And I was spending some time with Chad Taylor from the Chicago Underground on Zoom during the pandemic, and he urged me to hook up with Tim. He urged me to move to Chicago and to call Tim, and that's what I did. Started taking lessons with Tim, and eventually we started to play together in his basement, and this is actually the first time we played together publicly.
Then at some point at ESS, I got to play a solo. After I did start improvising, I played a solo set in Tim, and I kind of met that way. Yeah, it's been really fun to get to know him and play together since that time.
Tim uses the word architecture a lot. I think music and architecture go together very well.
The score's there, but it's, I guess maybe it can ground you a little bit. But most of all, it's fun to just kind of like listen to what's happening and just go with that.
Tim is really good at writing music in a way that makes shapes, and I think that when you see those shapes written down, it becomes clear what he's trying to get you to do. Challenge is like playing with other drummers. I've never really done that before. I was in like percussion ensembles and things like that when I was younger, so I know how to play with a marimba. I know how to play with a vibraphone, especially like playing a drum and a cymbal with a vibraphone with a marimba. But playing with another drum set player, especially somebody like Chris Corsano or Mike Zerang, who have like this like oeuvre that I've really respected over a decade, it was intimidating.
So there's the keyed part of the piano, but then there's the other part, which is like the rest of the body of the instrument, and the strings and the metal pins in the piano, and the metal plates, and so I'm just kind of using standard preparations like that John Cage would use, so like metals, wood, plastics, and fabric, or muting strings and doing harmonics on the strings. And then I'm also using just other objects, like objects that can make glissando sounds or can make sustained sounds. I like to play with that because the piano itself on the keys doesn't actually sustain anything. It's just constantly decaying. So it's really fun to kind of play with that. I think that's kind of how I got into experimental music too, was just like, well, the piano can make all these sounds that aren't just on the keys, but they're all part of the same mix.
I think a lot of people kind of misunderstand that as not decision making. I think there's infinite number of decisions being made at all times when you're making improvised music.